Hello and welcome to our webinar on the Middle East coffee industry in association with CREM. I'm Simon Ritchie, editor of Caterer Middle East, and today I'll be joined by a panel of illustrious experts who will share their knowledge and expertise on how the sector has changed post-pandemic and how operators can best meet the needs of their customers in 2021 and going forward. Now, coffee is ubiquitous in Middle Eastern culture and grows in popularity year on year. While traditional Arabic coffees were long the standard in the region, a growing trend for single origin traceable coffee has given the industry a massive boost. Now the coffee scene in the region is the match for any in the world, with the number of high-end, top-quality operators increasing all the time, while the customer base gets more and more knowledgeable by the day. Now, joining me on the panel to talk through the biggest issues in the industry are Orit Mohammed, founder of Boon Coffee, which has seen its stock boom with the launch of a number of new outlets in the past year. Welcome, Orit.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everybody.
Joining us, we have Mohammed Ali Al Madfai, CEO of Emirati Coffee, the homegrown specialty coffee roaster, which has just announced plans to expand into Saudi Arabia. Welcome, Mohammed. Also on the panel, we have Vivek Hans, CEO of Bev-Arabia, one of the leading providers of innovative and niche beverage solutions in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Also joining us is Rakesh Tiwari, Sales Director at Wellbuilt Middle East, with more than 20 years experience in the food and beverage industry. Rakesh is now based in Dubai and has been covering the Middle East market for the last 7 years. Welcome, Rakesh.
Thank you, Simon.
And finally, Augusto Melendrez. Augusto has been at CREM for the past 5 years and is currently the Director of Product Management. He has more than 15 years experience across the coffee industry internationally. Welcome, Augusto.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks for having me.
So an absolute wealth of experience and knowledge on this panel as we delve into the depth of the coffee industry and unveil what everyone is talking about and how we can prepare for the future. Now, to start the conversation, we can't ignore the massive impact that has been caused by the global pandemic over the past year. But just how much has it changed the coffee and hot beverage experience in the Middle East over the past 12 months? Orit, if I could come to you first, just how much do you think the industry has changed over the past year?
Actually, I think it has changed a lot, tremendously. We have a lot more home baristas now. So meaning a lot of people are doing coffee at home. So we're selling a lot more beans as opposed to, just the coffee itself. So a lot more people have become coffee connoisseurs and choosing which beans or how they want it. And previously, where we used to sell a lot of filter coffee, ground coffee, people are investing money not only on the beans, on the machine, and even the grinders, and even manual brewing items. So you see a lot more of that. Previous to the pandemic, it was very few. It was a very niche market for people to be that concentrated on making their coffee at home. But now we sell a lot more, equipments associated with the coffee. And now they actually know which beans they like, and they've tasted so many. Last year, apparently at home, everybody was tasting coffee, that they've decided which one they like, what they want to taste. So it's been a learning experience for us too.
How much has that impacted on your retail operations over the past year, Orit?
It has actually impacted a lot, because that's why we even moved into the cafe sector, because previous to the pandemic, we were only doing, most of our business was B2B for selling wholesale. But we realized that the online orders were coming in tremendously. It increased about, I think we calculated about 400%, because we were selling very few online. And then all of a sudden it became that we thought facing the customers being that it would be better for us. So this is why we have opened 4 cafes in the last year, trying to reach customers so that they can buy the beans. And that's still the number 1 items we do sell is the beans.
You guys said you've been diversifying. Now, Vivek, how's the last 12 months been for you? What impact have you noticed?
Well, I think as Orit was mentioning, it was a huge change in how the coffee is consumed in the market. there was a buildup, underlying buildup, because the region is it's not alien to the coffee business. In fact, I keep saying, to everyone, we graduated much faster in terms of specialty coffee. The likes of Emirati coffee, Boon coffee, they're leading the trend here in terms of bringing the best coffee available in the market. So what happened last year was there was an acceleration in that process. The home baristas, for example, we deal a lot of consumers in Saudi. That trend was building up, but the whole process got significantly accelerated last year. And we were selling a lot more equipment for the home baristas. We get requests for the training for the home baristas. People want to learn about the coffee. People want to learn how to roast coffee. We are also selling home roasters as such, because people want to roast their own coffees as well. And they want to buy green coffees as well. So, for example, I think Emirati launched Cascara, Yemeni Cascara, which became very popular. So things like that took huge, momentum last year. Obviously, the second trend that was prominent was digital, as again Orit mentioned. We sort of took a different view of digital, wherein we made our platform open-ended, wherein any of the coffee roasters can come and sell their products on our platform. In fact, we work with Emirati and a few other local roasteries as well. So that's the view we took. Similar view is happening in Saudi Arabia as well. All in all, we were quite successful with the digital presence, with the social media acceleration, and with the coffee adoption. We saw, like we call it, a lot of people are setting up the mini bars in their home, in their majlis, and they're very proud to bring people to their majlis, and they're buying the most expensive La Marzocos and the Storms of this world. So that's a great phenomenon, and that's a great place to be for us.
As you touched there that you work with Emirati coffee, Mohammed, do you agree with Vivek's kind of assessment of the past 12 months? How have you felt it?
So there was a huge shift in the trend during the last 12 months. Like Boon Coffee, we were dependent upon wholesale. Suddenly, shops closed up during quarantine. So now we need to operate in other channels that we didn't really have experience in. We were lucky that we were able to connect with the consumers. The consumers were able to connect with our product, and for some reason, the pandemic made being a barista cool. We've never received calls asking for barista training or for coffee 101, or people wanting to actually enter the field or understand more about it. Pre-pandemic, the majority of the population was coffee is coffee. It tastes all the same. There's no difference between specialty. There's no difference between commercial. Transparency has no basis in their logic. Traceability as well. So when they were rid with all the noise happening around them and being able to sit at home and enjoy a cup of coffee, that's when I believe they recognized different notes and characters that specialty coffee brings to the table. And I think when we started, like Orit was one of the first specialty coffee roasteries in the UAE. And we always look up to like the sorts of Boon and whomever was before us in the industry. And she can tell you it was a very lonely place, and people did not really understand the product that we offer. But and I think it was our problem because we were trying to push our product on the B2B market without really pushing it on the B2C, and not recognizing that the B2C are the managers and are the owners and are the people that run the B2B sector. So they need to be aware of your product as well for them to be intrigued about it and use it in their establishment and see the value.
I mean, that sounds like there's certainly been lots of positivity to take out of the last 12 months. I think Rakesh, coming to you and to CREM, how have you helped operators kind of deal with these changes and adapt to these new experiences?
So, we had a similar experience in the last 12 months. The customers came and we had the experience center, as you can see in the back. A lot of, the individual customers surprisingly visited last year, and even up till now, looking for coffee machine for the home.
Hmm.
And we know, it's nothing new. And in the Middle East, coffee and hot beverage has always been an ingrained tradition. With meeting in the local coffee shops to drink hot beverages, coffee, tea, and all kinds of infusion, and engage in socialization. So this is a part of the culture, Also, recently, the drinks have become more upscale with the import of barista traditions. Venues have become more developed from a sort of community hall to establish, a coffee, hot beverages outlet. So, unfortunately, last year was an incident for a couple of months, and it escalated those closures and lockdowns, which has resulted in some business loss and closure of cafes and restaurants with the impact of COVID-19, lead to an increase in consumption of coffee drinkers at home, and which has also people were self-educating on YouTube. They were, they're finding ways to learn, the new, doing themselves what they were missing from the closed outlets, from their nearby outlets. So it's been a difficult time for all businesses with many closings, but the coffee and takeaway culture in the Middle East is as strong as anywhere in the world. So it will continue to grow, I believe, and I believe it will come back.
If I may add, I think that these changes actually supported the cafe culture right now, because more and more people drank coffee at home, and they're becoming more coffee as concierge, or they're familiar with coffee. The first choice for a person in the Middle East, or I would say in the GCC in particular, is to go to a coffee shop. So you see the local population, their hangouts are in cafes, and stronger than ever.
Like,
I'm sorry. Yeah, they've, as you said, Rakesh, they've always been into the coffee, but what type of coffee is the question. So that has changed in the last year or the last couple of years, as Mohammed pointed out. When we first started, nobody wanted to hear origins, where I'm bringing coffee from Ethiopia. It wasn't the cool thing to talk about. People wanted to hear about Italian coffee.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they were looking for something European or something that they associated with glamour or with being high end. So in the last couple of years, this has been changing. And in the last year or so, people have taken the time out, as Mohammed pointed out, at home and realizing, okay, this is what the coffee is. So it's not that the people are drinking more coffee, it's just people are drinking what type of coffee is the change. So it is helping us, the ones who are dealing with specialty coffee or with high grade coffee. Finally, it's people realizing we are different than the neighborhood, cafeteria or even the big chains, and we are putting our. So it's finally, I feel like people are realizing it.
Augusto,
I mean, not only from the Middle East, but also from an international, standpoint. I think, we cannot deny it's been an unprecedented year, as you said, Simon, and I think a very, very interesting comments, from all the panelists. I think what Mohammed touched base on that. I mean, I think a lot of people have realized that coffee is not a functional drink anymore, and not even a social one. It's a bit of an indulgence type of drink for many, and it's a bit of a journey that they have started now by really trying different coffees at home, or really feeling how much they need there also. So like the coffee is much more than just a little bit of caffeine into your daily agenda. So and I think it was also Vivek that was referring to maybe not new trends, I would say, or new ways of consuming it, but a bit of an acceleration on certain trends that we saw before COVID. And it could be, we have definitely seen from our point of view an increase in demand for prosumer units like the CREM one. So people setting up, I think you were referring to the kind of barista kitchen concept. So setting up their kitchen to really be able to make a premium specialty coffee experience at home that basically now they could not have, or maybe only on takeaway basis. And also more to the commercial side, and depends on the region, because in some regions the restrictions were very tough. Basically, like in Spain here, we had to basically close all the coffee shops and restaurants for quite some weeks and months. In some other regions they kept going, but they had to really accelerate trends like the payment systems, digital solutions, takeaway capabilities to make sure like even last mile deliveries for coffee. So there's been a few trends that we were already seeing, but they have definitely speed up a little bit during the last 12 months.
Augusto, just to stay with you, as everyone has said, we know how important the quality is to the consumer these days. With more and more educated customers coming into shops, they know what they want. They're getting involved in the scene in a way that they never have before. But how big a part, as you said, you're getting so many of these home baristas now buying the machines. For them, how big a part does design and aesthetics play into that experience?
Well, I mean, a huge part. I think the short answer is that we agree that design is key, and the aesthetics of the equipment. You also touch base on quality. For us, when we talk about quality, is also really meeting, what the customer is expecting at the level that they expect it. But if we stay on design and aesthetics for a second, I think it's key. We said that coffee is not a functional drink anymore. It's experience. It's something more, and the way you drink it, the place you drink it, and the machine that is brewing that coffee, and who is making the coffee is all part of that experience. So definitely very important. I mean, if I just speak more from a maybe coffee machine side, which is I think what I can contribute more within this discussion. For us, it's definitely different how we look at equipment today and how we looked at equipment 20 years ago. Coffee equipment is quite particular. Is one of the, when you look at a food service place, restaurant or cafe, is one of the only equipments that is actually facing the customer sometimes, or somehow between the barista in this case and the customer. So we really make sure that it has a 360 degrees, but not only that it's nice or aesthetically nice from a design point of view, but also needs to be functional, proportions wise. So we really take a user-centric approach to make sure we design something that it's functional, is good for the barista, is good for the technician, is good for the environment, and is flexible enough to fit nicely and sit nicely in any type of venue.
Come to Mohammed, I know you're looking to launch a couple of new outlets in the near future, including in Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi. How important are the design needs and that aesthetic expectation for you as you get set to launch them?
So I always say that your eyes eat before your stomach, and aesthetics are really important. Where today you'll see a lot of the most successful cafes in the GCC. Where the trend is really booming within the Middle East. I've been visiting Egypt, Morocco, and other countries within the Middle East, and the boom will come. It is coming in these regions once their currency stabilizes, and it's easier to conduct business in these countries. But in the GCC in particular, or let's say in Saudi Arabia, they have this very unique trend where shops, when they first open, for the first 6 months, they will break even maybe in the first few weeks, and they will boom. They will be busy due to their aesthetics, and people want to be seen there. People want to be in the new place. People want to be where everybody is. And once this honeymoon period or this 6 months period passes, if the shop does not has the quality that matches the aesthetics it offers, then the business would go down. So I always say that a cup stands on 4 feet. So you have the barista, the water, the machine, and then the beans itself. And a lot of the times, coffee shops would depend on aesthetics, which will take them to a certain distance, and they will be successful at the beginning. But if they don't really be careful on the quality they offer and the consistency of what they offer, then they'll be in a risky position. Yet, you study the market and you look at shops that have amazing aesthetics and amazing presentation, and the quality is not consistent and the quality is bad, but they're doing well. So there isn't. It's very difficult to find that secret sauce on what would make a shop successful or not. But aesthetics is definitely what brings people into the shop. Once the people are into the shop, people today, 2 years ago, when people walk into a coffee shop, they would not really notice the espresso machine. But as my colleague panelists put it in it was well said, where people now focus on the quality of the machines. People will go in, they would look, if there isn't a certain machine on the bar, they will walk out. They would think that the shop does not offer the quality that they want to actually enjoy. So it's part of the experience. Aesthetics is, as he said, it's not functional anymore. It's an experience, and aesthetics is what puts you in that experience.
Vivek, that's quite a strong statement from Mohammed. Is that something that you found as well?
I think I totally agree with that. We run our own coffee shops in Saudi. We got the 3 cafes there, and aesthetics is, good for attracting, consumer, and maybe a few Instagram posts here and there can get you business for 6 months. But then if you can't hold your quality of coffee, your equipment, you can't make it any further. So aesthetics, very, very important, but they can only take you as far, as they can. But at the end of the day, the underlying, your quality of coffee, your baristas, your equipment, etc., has to also bring the quality that you want to demonstrate by the, aesthetics. And I think Mohammed mentioned one very important point in the end, the experience. Coffee has become an experience. In fact, Orith was touching about, the manual brewing experience, the brewing of an espresso experience. So people are going to different places for the experience, right? They want to touch and feel, and they want to have a different brewing methodology. They want to see how cold brew is done, how different other origins are brewed in a different manner. So I think if we are not able to demonstrate, the aesthetics from the quality perspective as well, it's not going to make it.
Audit, you're always looking to expand. You've always got something coming up next. Now, when you do that, when you look at the design of a new shop, what has changed? Certainly in the past 12 months. What would you do differently, and just how important is the design?
Well, it's very important. Every shop we open, I realize all the mistake I make on the first shop. Yeah, so it's always a learning curve. But like they said, it really is important now to have that conversation with the barista and the customers. So we can't take them for granted any longer. So the customers are much more aware. So they want to have a conversation. But at the same time, still the number one selling item, even though we're all putting so much effort in choosing the best beans, the best coffee, the best barista, it's the sweet drinks. It's the drinks with caramel, chocolate. I don't know what the Spanish latte. I don't know if the Spanish latte is drunk in Spain that much, but they sure like it here, the pistachio. So at the end of the day, as much as, and the black coffee trend is, because when we first started, I think the restaurants used to sell about 5 to 10% only the coffee which was black, espressos or Americanos, and usually mostly in the morning the Americanos and espressos after food. But we see that it's about 20%. It has increased. There are people ordering the manual brewing, which takes time. So we're okay if not everybody orders manual brewing. But at the end of the day, most people still drink latte. Most people still order some kind of latte, if not with something sweet. But more now I see that because of maybe it's summer here, there's a lot of people ordering cold coffee, but still with milk. Milk is still the number one, I think that we added is the milk. And furthermore, I see that as much as that we like to concentrate on the quality of coffee, it's still far away. I think people like to talk about the coffee more than they like to drink it. In terms of appreciating, there's few people, obviously, it's growing, that like the coffee black, they like it manual brewed, but most people still drink it with a lot of sugar. I mean, the alternative coffee, milk is coming in, alternative milk, like almond, and we sell a lot of oat milk, but that's still small compared to black coffee.
I think, Rakesh, with all these kind of, from what Audit was saying there's so many different options, and people are expanding their horizons and wanting different things. And how does CREM kind of meet their design needs? How can CREM, offer them what they're looking for in their coffee shops now?
Yeah, so we are very, very mindful of the requirements, and we know that the coffee is an experience. When the customer enters the coffee shop, he wants to have the feel and touch of the experience, overall experience in the coffee shop. Machine is one part where also customer is looks at, okay, it's really good looking machine. It's a good aroma of the coffee coming out of it, so it creates the hunger and desire to consume the coffee. So design and the aroma and the flavor and the quality of coffee, all those are very important parameters, for a successful coffee shop. And that's why, the design aesthetics, we really have been continuously investing in technology and trying to evolve around the requirements of the market, So it's very important, especially to the new internet, social media, generations who wants to see and to be seen, in the modern fashionable outlets. Especially for the standalone home growing business or coffee shop owners, designs, brands are very important. Brands and designs preferred and well accepted. These are sometimes different from the consignment units agreement, but by and large, the standalone ownership or the standalone outlets, these are very important. The design, aesthetics, and what quality you are delivering in the cup is also very important. So we are mindful of that, and we are continuously evolving around meeting the customers' expectations and the market requirements.
And if someone comes to you request with kind of specific, as you said, specific demands that they need met, you're able to do that with your machines?
I think majority, yes. Again, you cannot have the infinite options, but we do have quite reasonable options to choose from, which by and large meet the customer's requirements. So we are, like the aesthetics wise, if you want to change the panels, you want to have, the interior matte, some, designs looking from outside. So those kind of customizations are possible, and we do it. But again, it's not like unlimited options, but we are working to meet maximum requirements for the customer.
Now, we've heard from everyone in the panel, I would say that, in light of everything changing over the past 12 months, that the customer is by far more knowledgeable than ever. So Mohammed, I wonder just what does it take to meet the expectations of the modern customer?
What does it take to meet the expectations of the modern customer? There are so many types of modern customers. That's a problem. I think empathy is really important, and the most is the defining factor of how you would be listening and putting yourself in that customer's feet or shoes, and then providing him with the service or product that would be desirable to him. So the customers today, it's a fast world. They're bombarded with so many things, and so many other, I would say, products are competing for their attention besides coffee. So you have, the chocolate world, and you have, so many different industries that are grabbing for their attention, and we have today's customer has a very short attention span, and I believe that if coffee companies do not keep evolving in terms of being fresh, in terms of their presentation, in terms of how they try to educate their consumers, how to deliver the message to them, then consumers will lose interest sooner or later. Coffee has been drunk for thousands of years, so it's not going anywhere. But the trend of being the generational trend that's interested into coffee today. So if I serve my dad an espresso from our roastery, he would tell me this is very bad coffee. And I go home every weekend. My dad is saying that you don't know anything about coffee, and the reason is his mentality is still the old mentality where coffee has to be roasted in a dark roast, an Italian roast. So I try to explain to him that Italy does not grow coffee, but for some reason Italian coffee is cemented there. So if you go to any 7-star hotel, a food and beverage manager he would demand for commercial grade coffee because that's what they see as the standard or the staple. So for us to be relevant, the modern customer are the young customers that are bombarded with all these trends, and we need to maintain our relevancy with them by adapting our marketing towards them as well. We can't be stuck in a cocoon and think that and start marketing our product like everybody else in the industry. For you to be different, you need to be like Henry Ford, where he looked at the butcher shop and he created the assembly line. So look at other industries and how they are reaching their customers. Even if it's the cell phone industry, what makes people buy Apple and what makes Apple or Nike cool? How can you bring that to your coffee brand? And I think it's not difficult. And especially with something that's so intertwined with our daily lives. We drink coffee throughout the whole day, when we wake up and maybe at a social gathering at night. So how can you make coffee relevant is what's important, and for you to maintain your relevance to the modern consumer.
Well, Vivek, to build on,
I think, yeah, as we're discussing that customer can be segmented into various segments and such. If you consider the even HoReCa sector can be divided into mainly hotels, restaurants, and cafes. So hotels are not very much innovative when it comes to the expectation of what coffee is served. They go to standard standard Italian espressos, which is what they want because the equipment is such. They want consistently similar coffee with the same profile, etc. But if you go to cafes, on the other hand, the consumer there is different, and they have different expectations. So to meet the customer expectation there, you need to be sure about what product you're doing. So you need to, for example, know everything in and out about where the coffee is grown, what sort of elevations, etc. What brewing profile you are able to present to the customer, because the customer is very knowledgeable in that particular segment, and they would expect you to know everything about the coffee, and they sometimes know much more than the barista on the table who's serving the coffee. So your baristas have to be trained very, very well. Your equipment has to be evolved in such a state that they satisfy the customer needs. So if you segment the customer basis, then of course you can meet the customer expectation accordingly and then target them accordingly.
Augusto, with this customer being described by Vivek and Mohammed, quite diverse and quite knowledgeable, how do you try and meet their needs?
Yeah, and then Mohammed and Vivek, they were talking a bit the end consumer and also a bit to the B2B. I mean, we've talked a lot today on what has changed, and a bit in this year, etc. I actually like this question, and I think that when you go to the very, very fundamental part of it, that nothing has changed really. When we talk about meeting our customer expectations, it's about really be super key every day and work very hard to understand very much what they need, to make sure that what we are providing, and this can be a cup of coffee, a coffee machine, or a group of services, it's really meeting their expectations, or maybe even over meeting them with whatever we are offering. So I think how do we meet best our customer expectations goes through really understanding our customer first, and then working very hard to provide what they need, and even be a little bit brave to offer something a bit disruptive that maybe they were not expecting. So then your brand kind of stick into their minds. For instance, I think Rakesh was talking before on the customization part, which is a bit related to the design and aesthetics. We felt we recently launched the EX3, the CREM EX3, one of our newest machines, and we interviewed baristas, but also technicians, coffee shop owners, designers, industry experts, so to really understand, okay, how can we make something that is balanced for all of these, different stakeholders, and having something just right for all of them, I think, is the key for success. So we decided to launch a product configurator. So then when a roaster or a channel partner is offering this to them, we were talking about aesthetics and how can attract the coffee machine and the place new consumers, to really tweak our offer in an organized way, but still tweak it to the mass customization to the maximum level to meet the customer expectations and the customers of our customers. So really, again, really be close to the customers, especially now, and work hard to always meet their expectations and just have the right product for them.
Yeah, that customization certainly sounds important when everyone is talking about such a diverse range of customers now, and from people who just want a quick coffee to those who want, and they know exactly what beans they want and where they're from, and who know more than the barista, as Vic said.
Yeah.
No, on it, to bring you back in, we've talked a lot about the people that want the higher quality beans that know the single origins. In light of the pandemic, though, I was thinking, are there more value-driven customers as well now, and how do you kind of sort of organize for them?
Yeah, yes, there is, because first of all, we were dealing with businesses before. So for businesses, the quality wasn't as high in terms of what they want. They were more competing with price. Yeah. So we were always trying to be the lower price, which is impossible when you're trying to go high. But with the customers, there is more value because there's a lot of coffee shops and specialty coffee shops and roasters that have opened the last year, which only makes it in a way kind of better because people understand your product more now. So the people who are putting the effort, they might veer off for a minute, but people tend to come back, and you build your clients. Coffee is one of those things that if you like this one type, you go back to the same person. Even when you travel, you order the same coffee, the same. So we're building our client. I think year in and year out is getting better, and the coffee they want is getting better, because before I used to bring in high grades and sell them the same price because nobody could care less. Nobody really appreciated the work we did. And finally now it's paying off. We're adding more value, and it's coming with even equipments we're selling more, which we never ever thought we would be doing at any stage until last year. So, yes.
Rakesh, what audit says there about the number of new roasters and shops opening up, although there seems to be people think they could get away with lower grade quality coffee, how important is it that they invest in the right equipment if they are going to launch a shop, particularly at this time?
Yeah, it's very important aspect as more and more customers approach us, and every customer have the unique requirements. So what we do is, understanding, we try to put it together to understand individual customer requirements. We try to understand all the aspects, and then putting them together in the right way is it's the key to satisfy our customers and the customer of your customers. So we know that you are going to serve to your end customers. So we do the backward analysis, and we offer the solutions accordingly. The end users want to have the most aesthetic design with the best coffee possible, and for the dealer, store owner, price is still one of the considerations. So we have to balance between the price and the value you are delivering. So, making the machines as easy as to use, but delivering exceptional coffee, reliable units with service and spare parts available. These all are very important. So selling is one aspect, and the after sales support is another aspect. During sales process, after selling also we have to make sure that the machine is delivering the customer's expectations. So we do put together all this to meet our customers' requirements. We always try to give the right solution.
Of course. Thanks, Rakesh. And we've spent quite a lot of this for obvious reasons, kind of looking back at the way things have changed over the past 12 months, because it's been such an interesting and unusual time for the entire world, and especially the kind of F&B and hospitality industry. But I think we'd like to end the last section looking forward, looking into the future, and hopefully a brighter 2021. So what are the latest coffee and hot beverage trends, both from a venue and a drinks perspective? Where should operators be turning their attention? Augusto, what do you think people should be looking at as we look ahead to 2021?
Well, it's there are some, definitely. Nobody has the glass ball, but and it's a bit different, of course, in different regions. But I think as maybe more from the outside or more from the international point of view, we see that the coffee just keeps becoming more and more, especially from APAC, a beverage that is attracting the younger generations. And that means that we see more and more innovation. I think it was already that was mentioning to the, actually coffee is the base, but then the possibilities, with a coffee-based drink are endless, and that's what we are seeing. So when we look at the coffee menu, we just see, a lot of innovation on new recipes, new ways of brewing coffee, new, ways of mixing coffee with other things, and in terms of hot beverage, also the expansion of the hot and cold also beverage menu. So so the operators, the industry partners that really embrace the beverage platform as a solution, as an offering, I think there will be the ones being ahead of the game, and how we can, we see cold brew, iced tea, carbonated drinks. We were talking about ice lattes, spices going into our hot and cold drinks. So all that, but how we go from a trend to also becoming our day-to-day culture. I think there is something very important, which is about the education. And I think it was Mohammed also talking about his father and also suffer it at home. I come with many sometimes new drinks, ideas, and recipes. My father, in this case, he also works in the coffee industry, and sometimes we have a bit of a debate. But I think it's a lot of education towards our customers. So we cannot say that's not what you need to drink. You need to drink this. We cannot dictate what the customer wants, but really through education and really making our customer more aware on what the drinks are coming from and the traceability on our products. I think we can really embrace those trends.
Although Augusto said none of us have a crystal ball, but Vivek, if you were to look into yours, what do you see for the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think we covered most of the points here. For example, we discussed about the manual brewing trends. We also spoke about the venue where people are becoming, people are having their own small roasters in the shop roasters, as we call it. This has become a huge trend in the US and everywhere else. It's now becoming a trend in Saudi Arabia. And in the UAE also, we got 70 odd roasters already. Then from drinks perspective, I think we see slightly trendy things like cascara coming in trend. Then we see hibiscus coming in. So healthier options are becoming more and more viable now. For example, I think Orit mentioned in the beginning, even when we started the cafe, only 5% was espresso and black coffee, or without the milk or without the sugar coffee. But now that percentage is becoming more and more. 20-25% is actually a healthy number. We see a lot of trend in cold brew, different methodologies coming in, different traditional brewing methods coming in. So that's the trend, sort of taking a larger percentage of the portfolio, and it's going to continue in expanding because people are preferring healthier options. With the home brewing concepts coming in, people want to have that experience outside. So I think that will continue growing in the portfolio.
Mohammed, to come to you, I believe in 2020 you saw an online spike of around 3,000%. Is that a trend you see continuing? I mean, I don't think you expect to see 3,000% increase again this year, but is that online trend going to continue?
And I think that the online trend is gonna go down, actually, because people now, they can go out and life is back to normal. So for some reason, life is busier now, and people have left time throughout the day. You count the hours and you can't believe that it's been 12 hours, that you've been awake. So I think people are out and excited to be out with their friends and going to cafes and restaurants, and the trend would be, I think, is either bigger and better, so big places that have really elaborate and fancy fit outs and aesthetics, or very small community serving cafes that serve the community within the vicinity of the people. So you're taking the coffee or the experience for that cup of joe in the morning, specialty coffee, right next to them. So you'll have those both extremes. I think the pandemic had created a lot of new entrepreneurs within the industry. Suddenly, everybody wants to open a roastery, everybody wants to open a cafe, everybody wants to be involved in the industry in any way possible, which is great because now it raises attention to all consumers that there's something going on. There are more cafes opening. So what's the difference between them? And those who can show the difference and maintain the consistency, I believe would continue the trend. I don't see it going anywhere, but I think what will happen in the Middle East is what happened in Europe, or let's say maybe in London, in the Great Recession in 2008, where those who had a strong community following, who maintained their quality, are still alive until today.
Orit, you always have big plans, so I'm sure you're expanding this year. So where are you betting? Are you betting on retail? Are you betting on online? Are you betting on home brewers? Where do you think the big trends will be in 2021?
Okay, so I'm hoping all of the above. As Mohammed said, so many roasters open. I don't know why they don't need to open. We and Mohammed are already here. So there is a lot of coffee shops or specialty coffee shop. I think the name, but it doesn't necessarily mean they are good or they're that special. But saying that, it is turning the consumers to. It's nice to see local brands finally getting on the stage. You know, finally, it doesn't matter, something that somebody started from here, it's moving. So Mohammed or me, while we're expanding, we're taking something that started in the UAE or in the Middle East, taking it in. It's been so many years where things were coming to here and telling them what to do. So telling the people here how to drink, so we've decided now this trend is going that way. So it's really nice. That I appreciate. And hopefully, inshallah, we will be selling a lot more coffee in terms of for consumers, regardless if it's the cafe or online. And it would be the local roasters who are benefiting finally.
Yeah. If I can add to Ort's comment, pre-pandemic, we all focused on wholesale, didn't really look much towards the consumer. But right now, when the pandemic is calming down, things are going back to kind of normal. We all learned, and I think Ort can agree with me, that the focus should be on both B2B and B2C. Because exactly. When we went down in B2B, B2C picked us up. Now B2B is back, and B2C is down because our focus is all on B2B, and we're excited with the growth that's happening. And it's not easy to be focused on both areas or both sectors, I would say, because the consumer mentality is very different. You go to a B2C consumer, they would pay $100 for a cup. You go to a B2B consumer, they will try to get it for free. So it's very different.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Rakesh, with all these changes and said, as already said, all these new places popping up, it's obviously good for equipment sellers. You know, what do you think the trends will be from these newbies that are popping up, and how will CREM be able to satisfy their needs?
Yeah, so the trend will be, the customers are looking at, how your equipment are going to manage the complexity. So as Vivek mentioned, the new trends of new infusions like hibiscus, thyme flavor, clove infused the coffee. God knows, and like so many new infusions we are hearing day by day. So the first question the customer is asking that is your equipment is capable of handling those kind of infusions and the future trends. Our answer is yes. We are prepared, and as long as it's grinded and it's within the part of the same grinded coffee, our machines are capable of dispensing those flavors. Nitro coffee is gaining more and more popularity. Now the remote boilers, because the counter space and a lot of new concepts are coming where they don't want to have equipment on the counter. They want a very sleek design, just to have a tower and just using the portafilter to dispense the coffee. So remote boilers are now in the trend. Likewise, the everyday is evolving, but the good news is coffee still is the core of all of these future trends. So we don't see any something new coming up, but at least good news is the coffee is the core of the all, what is evolving around the technology and the taste and, what customers are looking at.
I think we're coming to the end of our time now, and I think that's a fantastic point to leave it on, that positivity from Rakesh, that despite all these new trends, it's still all built around coffee. People are still loving coffee. It's still the number one go-to drink. People are learning more about it. They're becoming more educated. They want to be more involved. Specialty coffee has never been more popular, and it's on the up and up. Everyone here is expanding around the region and perhaps even beyond in the near future. So I just want to thank you all so much for joining me. It was I think we could have talked for hours longer on every single one of these points, but hopefully that was a good overview from everyone. So just a huge thank you to our fantastic panel, Aurit Mohammed, founder of Boon Coffee, Mohammed Ali Madfai, CEO of Emirati Coffee, Vivek Hans, CEO of Beverabia, Rakesh Tiwari, Sales Director at Wellbuilt Middle East, and Augusto M. Melendrez, CREM's Director of Product Management. Thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you found that discussion as exciting and insightful as I did. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you all.
Arvita. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mohammed.